Welcome everybody. What I'm going to show you here is how to take a whole number and divide it by a fraction. Then I'm going to show you how to take a fraction and divide it by a whole number. First off here we have 4 divided by 1/2. Well, you need to understand what this looks like. Alright, what this means is we're going to take 4 whole bars, and we're going to take these 4 whole bars and we're going to divide each of these 4 bars into halves. Then the question is going to be, if we took each of these 4 bars and divide them in half, how many pieces would we be left with? Well, I could take this whole bar, and I know I would make one line right down the middle to split it in half, and I would have 2 pieces here. If I take this second whole bar, split it in half, again I'll have 2 pieces. I do the same thing to the third bar, the same thing to the fourth bar. So what I'm left with is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. Therefore, 4 divided by a half would equal 8. Let me show you another example here. We have 3 and we're dividing it by 1/3. That means we're going to take 3 whole bars and take each of these 3 whole bars and divide them into thirds. Well, if we're dividing the 3 whole bars into thirds, that means they're going to be 3 equal pieces. I would make a line here, and I would make a line somewhere here. So this 1 whole bar would have 3 pieces. If I did that to the second bar, the same thing would happen. I'm breaking into thirds. It's going to have 3 pieces. This will have 3 pieces. And then finally the third bar will have 3 pieces also. So then what are we left with? If I took 3 whole bars and I divided each of these 3 bars by thirds, I'm left with 9 pieces. Therefore, 3 divided by 1/3 equals 9. Now this is a little different, because what we're doing is we're taking a fraction and we're dividing it by a whole number. 1/4 divided by 2 means we're going to take this 1/4. And what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, we need to use these fraction strips along the side, and we need to take 2 of the same fraction strips to see if it equals 1/4. Well, if I took a third, well, 1/3 is already bigger than 1/4, so that's not going to work. So let me take a fifth. If I take 2 1/5 pieces, I could see that's not going to be equal. If I take 2 6, I could tell that the 2/6 is not going to be equal. But now, if I take 2 1/8 pieces, I'm going to have a fraction that's equal to 1/4. Therefore, if I took 1/4 and I divided it by 2, I'm really creating 8 pieces. So the answer would be 1/8. So here's another example. I'm going to take this 1/2, and what I need to do is I need to find 3 fraction pieces, the same fraction piece that are equal to 1/2. Well, if I took 3/3, I have to find out if that's equal to 1/2. Well, of course it's not going to be equal to 1/2. 3/3 is 1 whole. It's not going to equal 1/2. How about if I took 3/4 pieces? Would 3/4 and 1/2 be equal? No, I could tell 2/4 is equal, but I need 3 pieces because I'm taking this 1/2 and I'm dividing it by 3. Well, let me just jump to my 6 pieces, because if I take 3 1/6 pieces, I could see that the 3 1/6 pieces is equal to 1/2. So if I took this half and I divided it equally by 3, I'm going to create 1/6 pieces, because I could see here this would be equal to 1/6. Each piece would be the size of 1/6 if I took the 1/2 and divided it into 3 equal parts. And here's the last example. If I took a 1/5 piece and I divided it by 2, okay, I would take this 1/5 and I would divide it into 2 pieces. I would make a line right down the middle. Alright? And if I made a line right down the middle of this 5th piece, what happens is I created 10ths pieces. If I took 2 of these 10ths, it's going to be equal to this 1/5. Therefore, 1/5 divided by that 2, what you're doing is you're taking 1/5, you're dividing into 2 pieces, and you're creating pieces that are equal to 1/10. Therefore, 1/5 divided by 2 equals 1/10. And that's how you divide a whole number by a fraction, and how you take a fraction divided by a whole number.